Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and this video is going to be a full extended version of the first contact spacesuit build that I did earlier this year. I did 2 parts as I finished them, but in this video is going to be the full length, full build, start to finish, and I figured it would be a better idea to keep this stuff together. So without further ado, hope you enjoy the video. So before I get started on the actual working on this jumpsuit, here's my original one from 6 years ago, back in 2019. As you can see, it has a lot of details inlaid, a lot of quilting, a lot of piping. But yeah, these are a set of cotton coveralls. The issue with these ones were they were very bright white, and so you want to kick it down to an off-white. What I did in this is I coffee dyed the jumpsuit itself, and I'll show that process. I've decided to go the same route I went on this one and just make the piping myself. What I'm going to use is some of this premium 550 paracord, and then I'm going to add this this satin silver. We're going to wrap around the cord itself, and we're just going to stitch along the edge there and make our own piping. Fabric, it'll be 1 1/3 of an inch, and it's going to wrap around the cord. I'll sew it down. It should give me about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then add those to the jumpsuit. So all right, so now that I have my my strips of silver fabric all cut out, we're going to be wrapping it around this paracord using one of those piping flits. This is just a lot of busy work, so we're doing like 40 feet of piping. Hopefully that'll be enough. So I'm gonna get started on that. All right, so I got the piping cord all ready to go. It came out pretty good. About a 1/2 inch. All right, another day has passed. I've got some new supplies in. This felt or interfacing is going to back the additional pieces that are going to go on the jumpsuit. And I've kind of combined my previous pattern with my new measurements or idea of how I'm going to process this thing. I'm going to cut this one out. This is 4 times, 2 on the leg, 2 on the shoulders of the arms. This is going to be around the chest, and then these are the 2 knees. This is going to go on the fold. I guess previously I kind of did an entire version of this and didn't realize you could just fold the fabric, or maybe I did. I don't know. But there's also a couple other pieces that are kind of just square measurements, so I don't really need a pattern for them. It's going to be the wrists here. It's just a square, however long and however long it needs to be. And once all these pieces are cut, this is has a fusible interfacing on it, unlike the previous version, which is going to make things a lot easier, keep everything together. And then after those are done, we're going to quilt everything up, add the piping onto the jumpsuit, and yeah, we're moving along pretty good. I'm not sure how much. Hopefully today I'll get most of these detail pieces cut out and ready to go. All right, we've successfully added the piping to this this vertical piece. We're going to do this 4 times, and then we have a few other pieces that we have to add this particular piping to. It's important to note that around these curves you want to clip your the allowance for your piping, so you can better curve it around your edge there. Yeah, I clipped these allowances in just so you could see how it came out, and I'm quite pleased with that. Pretty good progress. This was decent amount of work for such a little small detail piece. I figured I'd show the process of doing it's the same process, but it's for these shoulder details of the same color fabric. What I'm going to use for that is this thicker braided paracord. So I got the straight pieces all pinned in place on the jumpsuit, and I'm gonna stitch those down. That's kind of a crucial step here. It took me a while to kind of figure out where I needed to place these. Like, I did have the old version, but the difference was this jumpsuit is a 44 and that's a 38, so it's quite the size difference. So I couldn't just match up where it was according to whatever seams are on that. So I kind of do all my measurements and then account for the loss of length when I add all those piping details on the sleeves and arms. So once I did that, I got everything pinned in place. All right, so I'm back, and it's been a couple days, but we're getting back into the jumpsuit build. The next up I'm going to do is the sleeve, and each layer I'm going to lose between 3/8 to a 1/2 inch of length in the whole sleeve itself. So I have to take that into account as well. And then, but I'm going to gain some when I add the wrist piece back on. So basically it'll be almost a zero-sum loss, if you will. And I did the math, and it seems to work out that way. So I just want to get my placements right on my where these are going to go. Mark them out, make sure the seam allowances all track, and cut the fabric, install the piping, put the sleeve back together, put the wrist on, and copy for the sleeve. Hopefully that'll. So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of piping. I measured it all to the bottom of each piece, so you get the longest. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put these pieces in, and then we're gonna get a true. I did the math on the loss of length, about 2 inches. It probably should fall in that range, and then from there, I'll put it on and see where I can put the extending cuff. All right, so I've moved the speed loader pouches down a few inches to compensate for the shortening of the jumpsuit. And now I've pinned in the wrist detail. I put it on myself and looked where I wanted to be. Now I'm happy with it, so I'm just gonna 2 straight stitches, and stitch in the ditch here, and then do the other side. And I can seal up the sleeve, and hopefully the jumpsuit fits me as I need it. I may hem the pants up a little bit, but after that means this is done. All right, we've finally did it. The jumpsuit is finally complete. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. It was a lot of work. I just wanted to show it side by side with the original jumpsuit. It's essentially the same pattern, the same materials and techniques that I used. This was from 2019, so 6 years ago. I'm much better at sewing and knowing what I'm doing, and I have better equipment. So this one is more polished on a closer inspection, but for a costuming point of view, or even from this camera, they probably look essentially the same. I'm very pleased with how this turned out, and I'm going to throw it on and you get to see what it looks like. And I did have to do a bunch of tailoring to this one since it's 3 sizes bigger than this one was. Obviously now they're essentially the same size, but that was just an extra step that I needed to do. So I recommend just going up 1 size at most, 2 if you really are unsure. We're going to tackle the boots, the chest armor, and the helmet itself, including all the lights and how I'm going to do that. First, I'm going to start with the boot covers. What I'm doing in this video, I'm going to be taking these regular slip-on shoes and just building up a pattern and making kind of a boot cover. So you can just slide your foot in. It's purely cosmetic. And here's my version I did from the previous spacesuit. As you can see, it came out all right. Ironically enough, These are the exact same slip-on shoes that were available on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description below if you want to get these same ones. I just like the way it slide on, and I like the design on the bottom here. So it kind of looks like a space shoe, I guess. A little bit of adjustments from this one to the new one. I just want this a little bit taller. I have my fabric, I have my rope, which is just a little bit bigger than the paracord with the piping, some aluminum foil, masking tape, and then your slip-on shoes, and a pen or a marker, whatever one you want. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so I have all my materials here ready to go. The first step in the process, I'm going to be covering the boot in just a layer of tin foil. You do an indent on your where you want the boot cover to be adhered, so that when you're putting down the masking tape, you can just go right to that line. You're going to want to add a seam allowance when you do it and fold it over so it has a nice clean edge. But when you're making the pattern, you're going to want to know where that line is. So I have the boot mostly covered here. Since we have a cover that we want to go up a bit higher, I need something to stabilize it. But I'm just going to use this poster board. I'm going to use this to kind of build up a false leg, if you will, and then tape around that, and then we'll draw the pattern onto that. The boot is going to be taller. There's no need for me to keep building it up. Piece is another 2.5 inches. That's going to be made separately and just attached to it. Alright, so I'm very pleased with the state of this right now. We are in a good spot. Here I am just eyeballing the seam lines for the boot itself, using the old one as kind of a guideline, tracing those lines down. So I have it all marked out on this space boot here. I know that shoes are not bilaterally symmetrical, but in this case, the way it goes over the shoe, I'm going to treat it as such. So I only did the one side, labeled it left, and then when I do the other pattern, I'll just flip it over, transfer them to this poster board material here. So far, so good. Let's cut this out. So I did find my original pattern pieces for the original boot. I probably could still use them because it's the same design. However, I wanted to show the process. I want to transfer these to this type of paper, and then add all the seam allowances in. Here I'm transferring the pattern pieces I just cut out from the boot, adding in the 1/2 inch seam allowance. There's only 3 main pieces of this pattern, but then it's going to be doubled up when you flip it over. Next step of the process, we're going to attach it to the fabric and cut out all the pieces we need, as well as I'm going to be backing it with some felt interfacing. I'm just going to iron onto the back of the fabric to give it more stability to it. Just making some additional piping cording for the boot, just some rope and strips of the fabric that I'll be using. Alright, so I'm checking in. I got all the piping done for the boots here. The next up is I gotta make a pattern for this detail piece. I didn't like this one, it's still too small. Based on what the screen used ones look like, I went with that. So I'm gonna transfer it over to this, add some seam allowance. I'm gonna find a red fabric. I'm sure I have plenty leftovers, and find some batting to put behind it. We'll construct the boot. Shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Here I am sewing the red detail on the outer edge of the boot. I used a few layers of batting or kind of interfacing type of material to give it that raised detail as I sewed the lines across it, and then adding all the piping detail around the edge. And the seatbelt piece is going to go on the side of the boot. It's easier to sew it on before you put the boot together. So that's what I'm doing here. This boot pattern is pretty simple, so it comes together pretty quickly. Alright, I'm checking back in with you guys. The boots are now fully completed. They came out great. Next up is the armor pieces. So we have the chest armor, the helmet, the red armor pieces that go underneath the chest, and then the control switches that are on the arm and the leg. So I have 3 different versions of foam I'm going to be working with. We have, I bought these HD foam, and then you have this What the foam. This is a higher density foam, and it'll be good for things that you don't want to flex too much. And then this one is your run-of-the-mill floor mat foam for big swaths of foam. The finish on that, you have to sometimes work with some air bubbles and whatnot. But those are the 3 versions I'll be working with. And I have all my pattern pieces that I saved from the 6 years ago project. Front chest plate here. I'm going to be extending it down a little bit and then kind of tapering it in with a little notch on the bottom, which I did not add that. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. Hopefully I'll check in with you guys throughout the process. And here's my new chest piece that I just added this new detail that I missed the first time around. And let's get started cutting on those pieces. So I'm checking back in. We have all the pieces for the chest and back all cut out, but we're making great progress, and yeah, I'll check back in and get some more progress. All right, we're making some great progress here. We have both front and back pieces all in its basic form at this point. And then these are the under pieces, the red fabric covered ones. They're going to be going underneath here. So basically this is the front part, and this is the red's going to be underneath, and this is for the back here, as you can see. I'm going to use Velcro to attach those, and on to the next step. All right, I'm checking back in with you guys. I have the front chest piece. The main form is all constructed. I added the collar, and I did find all my pieces for the detailing that's going to go overlay on top of this. I'm going to have to do some minor tweaks to it because I did extend this bottom part down a little bit and added this notch here. In addition, I'm going to switch over to a 2mm foam for those details. I only used the 1mm craft foam on the first version. This one is a more sturdier What the foam, so it's a lot denser, and I'll be able to round off the edges on that. With the 1mm craft foam, it was too thin and flimsy for you to do that, so I'm going to do that with this. Bring the camera over here. This piece is going to go here. So that's the first layer. I'm going to add a little bit of distance down to the edge here of this piece, I'm not gonna put it in that exact spot. I'll probably move it downward here. All right, so I totally forgot to hit record on my time lapse, but all I did was cut out these. I modified the pattern pieces from the previous iteration, and I used the 2mm what the foam, all ready to go. I just got to finish off the edges, and then I'm gonna glue it on here. I marked out where everything's gonna get laid out. Just a quick side by side of the original one that's lasted 6 years or so. All right, I'll get started on that, and then we'll glue it on. Be sure when using contact cement or any kind of glue like this, you have a respirator on. Those fumes are pretty toxic, and you don't want to be breathing that stuff in. All right, so I'm checking back in with you guys. I've finished the main construction of the chest and back armor pieces. The next thing I was tackling is the helmet portion. I did make a pattern of this about 6 years ago. So if you see any of these orange pieces here, these are the original pattern pieces I did, and anything that's poster board is all new. I basically went from scratch on all those pieces, and then I filled in all the gaps. So this is the cardboard test. That's essentially how it's going to look. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to leave these top holes opened, and also the back. There's no need for them to be sealed up. It's not a real space helmet. Plus it gives a lot of ventilation. I didn't film much of this, but I'm just going to go over. I took a piece of 040 PETG plastic, made a cardboard template, and kind of formed it and shaped it. As it is now, it fits pretty well. It'll look a lot better when I remove all the protective film and with the paint and then the edging detail. Should hide a lot of patterns, if you will. But this chest piece is ready to go. I'm very pleased with it. We have the back plate, which is just kind of my interpretation of it. I don't think it looks like this exactly, but it's in the back, detail in the back there. And then the helmet, which I did change the pattern a bit, as the original one I had, I either didn't like how it looked or I couldn't figure out what I did with it. So basically anything from this bottom half is brand new, drafted a new pattern, took a little while. And then the top part is essentially the same pattern, just slightly modified. I did use a different type of foam for the top part. On this helmet, I used what the foam for the top pieces. I used format foam for the main bottom section. And any other detailing piece, I would probably use the high density foam. Just checking in. I got all these hanging up out here. Got the clear coat going on. This is what I used. It's flexible, so less likely to crack on top of the paint. Did 2 coats gloss white, and then two coats of this varnish. The finish came out pretty good. Obviously I'm outside in the sun. The helmet. After this, I'm gonna let this dry for 24 hours or so. Doing great. All right, so I've let the paint dry for a couple days. I'm going to be working on the helmet first. First step I'm going to do is put the face shield that I built out of the PETG, the 040. I'm kind of heat formed it in this certain spots, and what I'm going to do is mechanically anchor it with this drill gun here. I have some self-tapping screws, like shorter ones. I'm going to screw them right into the foam. Obviously, foam is not the best for metal screws, so I'm going to coat it in some this crazy glue here, so it locks it in. I did that with the other helmet, and it's been 6 years, and that hasn't gone anywhere. And then once those two screws are all locked in, I'm going to use whatever glue, maybe this hot glue here, just to go around the edge, just to keep the gaps from flaring out. And this bottom, putting weather stripping around should hide that crime. Most of the crimes are on the edge here, so hopefully it'll look nice and clean. Pleased at how the finish came out. I'm not sure how durable it'll be, but the other one lasted 6 years, and it was pretty good. Use this acrylic here, and I did you can't see it here through the protective cover here. I hand painted some of the acrylic here in the black, make it a little more uniform and kind of detract away from the white on the outside. Yeah, so I'll get started with that. All right, so we got our helmet here ready to go for all the detailing that we're going to be putting in it. So before we get started, I'll just, if you want a screenshot, this is the rubber gasket that I used. So I bought it on Amazon. I believe it's also available at Lowe's or a local hardware store, I believe. So that's the sizing I'm using. For the pinstriping, I'm just going to cut strips out of this this 3M Oracal stuff. I think it's for, I'm just going to be cutting thin strips of it. So the stuff's pretty good. The adhesive on here is pretty good. I've just been going in and adding any corners that didn't really mesh to the helmet, and a little bit of hot glue just to round it out and also give it a little more adhesion. This rubber gasket kind of brings the whole thing together. Pretty good. I did put it on my head a few times. I'm just going to add these lights here. I'm going to go in like this and find a spot for them. Here I am sewing up the nylon straps that go on the buckles that are going to attach the shoulders together and the side red pieces together as well. Here I am super gluing the nylon straps onto the chest armor itself. I removed the layer of the paint so that it adheres straight to the foam. It's a really strong hold between the nylon strap and the foam, so it's not going to go anywhere. And then they connect together. Once you have everything glued down, I use some hot glue to go around the edges so it doesn't kind of pull up on the edge. I'm going to use some Super 77 to adhere the fabric to the outer edge of the foam pieces. Spread a layer on each. Wait about 30 seconds to a minute, and it works similar to contact cement. The downside is if you flip any of the fabric over, it will stick to itself and you'll have a hard time getting it off, which I did, so I lost a bit of fabric. But just be patient and Take your time and it should come out pretty good. All right, so checking back in, I have the red pieces all constructed, if you will, layered on some fabric. I used the Super 77 3M. So what I'm gonna do next is that these had a little bit of a recess indents in them, design kind of feature. I could do it with foam and then, put the fabric over it and then have it look recessed. Or what I've seen before done is little windows and then dust them with some black spray paint just to give that shadow effect so that it looks like it's got a little bit of a texture to it. I'm gonna go 1.5 inches between here. So I'm gonna get started with that. Okay, so I dusted all the red pieces here. What I'm going to do, which I forgot to do on the completed jumpsuit portion, is add these elastic stirrups to the bottom of the pants here. And the reason that is important on this specifically is these are going to go inside the boots. So these are going to, and this prevents the pant from pulling out of the boot. So basically it keeps it nice and tucked in there. It won't slowly work its way out while you're walking. Here I am wiring up the chest lights. All I'm doing here is connecting 4 LED lights to 1 battery, soldering them together, and I'm gonna space them out on the chest armor itself. I'm using a very small Phillips screwdriver with a butane torch to heat it up, to kind of poke the holes to where I want the lights to be popping out of. Hole in here. Okay, we finally hit the home stretch here. We are on the control panel section of the build. There's 2 of them. There's one panel on the arm and one that goes on the thigh. They do appear on the same side of the body, but the panels themselves are slightly different. The one that's on the leg is slightly curved and is a little shorter, and the one that's on the arm is a little bit longer and doesn't have as many buttons there. I'm gonna use black foam. This is what the foam. I don't think I used that in the first iteration, but what I'm gonna do is use this what the foam. This one piece should be enough for the 2 boxes, and then I'm gonna paint it with some black Plastidip, and then from there we're gonna add these gel transparencies, and I'm gonna just try to match up the colors. This color, and then I have Plastizote, which is a foam that diffuses the light. Without further ado, I'm going to get started on these 2 panel pieces. Here I am wiring up the panel pieces themselves. They're just a bunch of straight LEDs that are just connected together, laying flat, facing upward. Put together these lighting pieces. They're going to go inside the box. The first iteration, I had a coiled up LED strip that went in there. This is going to be facing upwards towards the diffusion. Have a slight curve to it. Cutting out the boxes themselves. It's very small detail work. It's probably easier to do most of these cuts with a X-Acto knife. Adding the gel panels, trying to match up which colors match the screen use ones, and made strips of those and then glued them to the inside of the newly formed box. Alright, so I've completed the leg piece, the leg control panel. It's about 99% of the way there. All I got to do left is I'm going to glue on some Velcro in the back and then hand sew it to the jumpsuit so this is detachable. Here I'm hand sewing on the Velcro pieces that are going to attach the boxes themselves to. Makes it easy to take them off and on for transportation. Alright, the spacesuit is 100% done. I had a blast making this thing. I did make it to the deadline of finishing it before Star Trek Las Vegas. I got the old one out to Frank where he wore it alongside of this new one. People seem to enjoy both spacesuits walking around together. I had a ton of fun making this thing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got any kind of tips or entertainment out of it. If you did, be sure to like below. If you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to ask. And if you want to see the first part of the video, be sure to click the video here or in the link description below. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
So we got him a